Right, so we're live. Hey everyone, so we have Kristjan. He is not, like someone new in the Asia scene race. Again, he's the Icelandic powerhouse. He started running in 2022, let me know if that's correct. And almost immediately after, he was the first guy to set the Icelandic time record for 100 km road race. That was amazing. I think we can chat more about it. Kristjan, and obviously he's known in Southeast Asia scene for killing a lot of the local sort of trail races, one of them being Cultra 100, where I first saw you. So that was amazing, like setting the course record over there. I don't know if we have someone breaking the course record, maybe. And then obviously the Malaysia Ultra Trail UTMB 100 km. So those were kind of the two sort of big ones from Kristjan. Well, yeah, no, thanks for joining, Kristjan. Did I miss anything? Anything you want to add on that, or?
Yeah, no, great introduction. Yeah, so just I'm from Iceland, also half English, but I've lived most of my life in Asia. Actually, for a lot of you who may or may not know, I've lived in Laos for 10 years and Indonesia for 3 years. So a lot of my upbringing has actually been in Asia itself. So if and Europe is a very small percentage of my life, but I started running, like seriously in 2022, and in 2020, I sort of, during COVID, everyone's like, put on their shoes and get outside, and that's sort of where I started as well. But 2022 is where I did my first marathon. Then 2023 is when I did my first 100K and 50K as well, and that's where I held, not anymore, the unofficial record for the 100K, which I did in 7 hours and 42 minutes. Flat road race, and that was the start of everything. I think that was sort of where everything sort of exploded for me in terms of ultra distance, and I've sort of never stopped since then. And I really actually started doing trail runs, like trail running, when I moved to England in 2024 to do my master's in sports physiology. And I started doing more races there, and I was like, whoa, I like to get dirty, I like this elevation, let's carry on. And I did a few races there, and then at the end of 2024 I moved up. Was it 25? Was it 26 now? Yes, at the end of 2024 in November, I moved to Malaysia, and obviously it sort of blew up for me in terms of trail running, and I first race that I did here in Malaysia, I won, which was the Lagonton 50K, and that was an experience in itself, especially the cramps that I had afterwards, which was not ideal, but from then on I it just got better and better. And last year, like you said, I won Cultra, a record-breaking 100K. Did it in 13 hours and 14 minutes. And then 2 months later, I won the MUT UTMB 100K in 11 hours and 42 minutes. And that's something we can also talk about in this podcast itself, because that was a journey in itself. But it was both races were completely different to each other. One was more competitive, one was more, I'm on my own for the whole time.
No, definitely. Like, I mean, watching as an outsider, for me, I think, especially I've gone through your try and stuff. I was thinking, like, was last year kind of the highlight for you? Was it the one that you felt like, okay, everything is kind of going exactly where you want, and like the fitness was right? Like, how describe in words, like, what do you feel about your last year? Because I think that was sort of the pinnacle.
I mean, last year was one of, obviously I was sort of new to this, in terms of trail running itself. I'm still young, 27, and I've still got a lot ahead of me. But yeah, 2025 was a year that it was unexpected. Actually, it was an unexpected great year, and a lot of good things happened. And my fitness was great, and still is. Just that recently hasn't been the best, but it will come back. And it's just a little setback. But last year was definitely something that was unpredictable but great. I think that's how the best way to put it, actually.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think one of the key questions I kind of wanted to sort of dive in, because we're going the intro side, so I just want to sort of ask you as well. You're from Iceland,
Yeah.
in Malaysia.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're the Yao Ming of the running scene? I don't know how to kind of put it that way. I mean,
That
you're tall as well, so you're like Yao Ming in some ways. So what do you think? Like, how does it feel being in Asia and training for these races and running races? Like, so.
first, that in itself is an honor to be related, to sort of be not related, that's the wrong word, but to have the sort of same title as him. That guy, Yao Ming, he's on another level. He hats off to him. I'm not wearing one, but he's a crazy athlete. But also, when I say crazy, I mean in all positive ways. I mean he's on another level. But thank you, much appreciated. The question, yeah, I think training here in Malaysia is, I mean, it's different, obviously, to Europe. You have the heat, constant heat and humidity, and that doesn't change. You can't look forward to cooler weather. I guess the cooler weather is when it rains, like it is now, actually, outside, or in the mornings or something, if you're lucky. But I think the difference is the humidity and the heat that you sort of always adapting to. I don't think you ever get used to it. I think you just adapt to it, and you're constantly adapting, because it's always going to be the same, but it's at the end of the day, some day could be hotter than the other, and you just have to adapt to what the situation or the weather is. And honestly, I enjoy running out here in the heat. I don't mind. I'm a heavy sweater, so I sweat everywhere, but I don't mind it. I think it's part of the fun.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, I think one of the main things everyone kind of says to me is that, I kind of run more in Singapore. It's when I'm back in Europe, I don't do that. And I'm like, actually, yeah, it kind of makes sense. It's the sweat that makes you want to run, but kind of hate it at the same experience. It's like a
Yeah,
duality that you live with.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, 100%. Because we're talking about sweat, and the recent sweaty thing was UTSG. Again,
Yeah.
not to say the race was bad. I just wanted to sort of pivot and like sort of ask, and what do you think from the race experience? Like, how was it for you? And like, if you can describe like what was the sort of.
Yeah, actually, to be honest, it was quite unfortunate with what happened to that race. I would have, I believed that if I hadn't cramped, I would have come out on the podium. I don't know if it was possible. I don't know if third, fourth, or fifth would have overtaken me, but I believe that, if people don't know, I cramped severely in that race that had led me to walk majority of the end of this race. But I believe that if I hadn't had that issue, I would have podiumed. I believe so. Regardless of that, I cramped. So basically, I went through heat cramps. Every part of my body was cramping basically towards the end of this race, and that those last 7 hill climbs were brutal, man. Those basically, we had to run this hill at the end, and it was 7 times up and down the same hill, and it was tough. But I think the mistake I made a little bit was I went out too hot to keep up with the legend himself, Stingray, who's a Filipino runner in Asia, and I think I was sort of like going, I'm gonna get him, and then I think he was like, I just went out a little bit too hard, and the intensity caught up with me, and basically I just dealt with heat cramps in my calves, which spread to my quads and whatever other muscle that I had in my lower extremities. So it was, yeah, it was tough, but it was a learning experience in itself. And I went back and wrote down a lot of things, and looked at my hydration and looked at my sodium loss from plug-in sponsor, Flow Bio, who I wear a sensor that shows how much sodium and how much water I'm losing after a run, and from that has given me a good insight of what I should be doing to prepare before a race, whether it's in Singapore or anywhere else in Asia, even in Europe, and just to know how much sodium and water I'm losing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think one of the main things in running these distances is that salt is like such a balance. It's like a
Mm,
double-edged sword.
mm.
If you take too much, you might feel like weird afterwards. But
Yeah.
if you take too little, then your race is gone, right? Like
Yeah.
the balance is like such a hard thing, and especially for people who have never raced in Singapore and Malaysia, it is a struggle, like finding that sort of right balance of salt.
And it's also like the balance of water, if you don't drink enough, you get dehydrated. And if you drink too much, and it is like there's so many things that you sort of have to think about. And then you have to think about strength training and neuromuscular fatigue. And it's sort of like, which one do I focus on? And so it sort of becomes this whole whirlwind. And I think you know, I think a lot of people should know more about how to balance all of this together. But obviously, there's so many components of ultra trail running that sort of combine itself together, and we all go through the experience eventually. So yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, one of the things that I kind of want to show you as well, like we're talking, is that this thing here, and kind of get your thoughts like as we play the video. But yeah, basically the best thing was,
Andre, all the way, all the way.
yeah, so there was this like whole camaraderie of you and like Stingray going on.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point I was like, yeah, I think he's doing the same thing that I kind of saw at like MUT 100, where you were just following the first person and like going in, and it's like
Yeah.
this equal competition. Like, walk us through like when you're running with someone like Stingray, who's again amazing athlete as well. Like, do you guys chat? Like, what is that? What is that? What takes place when you both are running like neck to neck and like such
Yeah.
a unit?
So with Stingray, he we actually didn't talk much in the first 22 kilometers. We were sort of just, I guess, battling it out almost. He was in front of me, and I was sort of just trying to keep up behind him because I was like, oh, I'm keeping up with this guy. And then when we turned around to go more towards the concrete neighborhood section, he actually was stopped at a intersection because he didn't know where to go, and um, he then ran with me for like 5 to 6 kilometers or maybe more actually, and we were talking then, and we were talking about races, and we were talking about our future races and what's going to happen and what he's going to do and what races he's doing and injuries and all of this. And it was a nice conversation. And I think people think, oh, do elites not talk, or do they talk? Yeah, we talk whilst we
Oh,
run.
that's right.
Yeah, right. We yes, we're racing, but sometimes there's a conversation that happens between you and the person that you're versing, and I think this is something that I'm not always used to, especially um, you know running here. I run alone a lot of the time, and I don't. I find when it comes to competition, I I have obviously have it here, and I don't think I've actually been in a situation where I'm, I don't know, like I tend to find myself running alone a lot of the time, and so I don't have these conversations. And something that was super exciting for me when I ran UTMB MUT last year was I was versing a Chinese athlete called Xing Zai Bai, and the competitiveness between me and him was one-on-one throughout the whole race, like the whole time. And it was new to me. I'd never had someone who was able to sort of, I guess, and the idea was I was able to keep up with him, and he was able to keep up with me, and we were able to run together the whole time. And did we talk? No. We had no conversation between us. And the reason why was because there was a language barrier. He couldn't speak English and I couldn't speak Chinese. So it was basically, go, yes, noises, more than any other conversation that I've had. And, I sort of was like in my head the whole time in that race, talking about MUT, is I have to keep up behind him. I don't want to lose him, because as soon as I lose him, that's it. I'm done. I need to make sure that I'm constantly like with him. And we were both wrecked. We were both giving it as much as we could, some parts I was faster than him, some parts he was faster than me. I lost him at one point, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to run my own race. And then he appeared out of nowhere, and I was like, how is it even possible? And that's because earlier on in the race, he actually got lost. And I had actually overtaken him without knowing, and he ran up behind me, and I was like, this is number third, and it was him, and I was like, what are you doing here? Obviously no answer. He just went wrong way, and I was like, okay. So in that moment of when we were towards the last checkpoint and we had to go up Maxwell Hill again, it was 70, how many kilometers? Like 73, 74 kilometers in, and we had to climb 1,200 meters of elevation again. And I was like, in my head, I was like, you stay right up next to him, like stay behind him the whole time. And I did that. And I was like this close to him the whole time. And I think all I could see was the heels of his shoes. And I was just like one step after the other, just concentrating. And I think it maybe, I don't know. I actually don't know how he felt about the race. I was never actually able to talk to him afterwards about it. But I don't know whether I annoyed him or not because I was so close to him. But in the end, he pulled aside and tied his shoelace, or I don't know what he did, but I think that's what I assumed he did because that's what I saw him doing. And I was like, all right, this is my go time. And I went for it. And I just sprinted like a 300-meter steep part of this climb. And basically, I didn't look back. Well, I was looking back, making sure he wasn't behind me, but I was afraid that he would catch up. And in my head, I was like, Kristjan, it doesn't matter what you pull off at the moment. If you're first, if you're second, just live with it. You've done such a good job. And first was just the bonus. I mean, that was just purely, it was an effort from the both of us who motivated each other to get where we were in that position. And I think that was sort of a pinnacle of my fitness back then. And it wasn't long ago, so it's not like it's just gone, but it was definitely a pinnacle of fitness. It was like, that was the best result I had last year, 100%.
Yeah, no, I kind of want to share something as well, because this is the one thing I saw, and I was like, this moment kind of was the magical moment of you and Singji. Like, I'll just play. Yeah, so like there's this moment of you and him. Like, I think you kind of wait. I just see. Yeah, you're seeing him, and
Yes.
then I see that he's also like, he gives a look back when you're going. It's like
Yes,
such a
yes.
tense moment. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like the raw capture of emotions. It's like,
It's,
it's like, okay, is he gonna go first or am I gonna go first? And it's like, I mean, you explain this in a very well way that even if you don't talk, there's so much tension between like, back and forth of like first and second. It's like chasing on heels. Like, does it ever get a moment where you're like, okay, like smiles are past, or like just the low tension, or is it like
dude,
all the way through 100K you're running with tension of like, who's gonna be first?
it was, I don't know. It was such a, the thing is in this video here, I'm getting goosebumps actually watching. I actually watch this quite often just because of how tense it was. And I remember looking at him, watching him, what he was doing. And I know he was doing the same to me. And I was like, okay, Kristjan, stick with what you know, stick with what you're doing, eat what you can. And I saw him take ice. And I was like, wait,
Let
this
me do
guy's
it.
like, and if you can see that I'm struggling here to try and put it in my bag because I'm trying to follow what he's actually doing, because I was like, I never thought of this. Why haven't I put ice in my bag before? So I was like, okay, all right, I'm putting ice in my bag too. And this is where I looked at him like, oh, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to go. And I was like, off. I was like, I'm not waiting around anymore. This is it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this moment was, I think, kind of the highlight for most of us watching that race. And I was like, okay, this will be a very sort of, close race.
Yeah.
The one thing I was sort of super surprised was that, I don't know like how it sort of works, but do you think at any point where you feel like drafting really makes sense in long distance 100K. It's not even technically drafting, right? Like it's like
No,
it's
I
not
mean,
you're not like getting any motivation out of it. But do you feel
well,
like I just want to overtake him and like get rid of this and then just
well, I mean, it's definitely not like being on a bike, it doesn't help you go faster being behind someone. That definitely doesn't help in that way. But I think it's definitely that the idea of when you're behind someone who's faster than you and you're wanting to keep up, it's sort of that focus. You don't have to look at anything else. You can focus on the person in front of you, his step, your step, his step, your step, or her step. It doesn't matter. Like it's just that ability to hyper focus on what's in front of you, ignore everything else, and just go for it. And of course, at times where I was in that race, actually after the video, I did that whole hill section on my own because I was like, this is the part where I want to overtake him and I don't want him to catch up with me. He did catch up with me because I cramped. But it was like you sort of get these moments, and I think a lot of other athletes too, is when you feel like you have enough energy to go for it because you sort of had that period of rest because you slowed down to get someone else in front of you to be able to breathe and using that as the advantage. And if you look at a race that happened, I think it was the UTMB 100 miles. I think there was two athletes, the Chinese one, and I can't remember his name, the French guy or something. And he follows him the whole time. He watches what he's doing and he does it. He runs. He walks. He stops. And this is exactly what happened between me and Xing Zai. We were sort of doing the same thing. And there was one point of the race, I think it was like 65 kilometers in, there was a huge pool of water. We both looked at each other, dropped our phones and jumped in. And no one knows about that, but we were in that water for like 5 minutes, just like sitting there, both of us.
and like I can imagine like because you both don't speak the same language, just like watching each other's face and being like, okay,
Yeah,
just nodding.
yeah, literally, it was like, off we went.
Okay,
And there is a video somewhere out there because I know I saw a lady film it. I wanted to find it, but I don't know how to get So if anyone knows the person who's filmed us in this pond, please send it through.
please send it through. Please send the video. That would be super fun. I kind of want to see that, how the emotions are there when you're kind of both wrestling and taking time. Wow. Okay, that was a lot of sort of intense moment from Malaysia UTMB. What about UTMB Betong? Like, what do you feel? And again, it's not about the performance. I ask. I think it's quite interesting one because, I mean, I met you after the race, and you told me that it was not what you expected, but you still finished. Like, why not DNF, right? Like, there's nothing for you to kind of prove. Like, what was your mindset then?
So Betong was a different case and something happened and it doesn't matter what happened, but it affected my performance and why I didn't DNF was because a few weeks before, or no, a month and a half before that, I had actually DNF'd from another race in China and it was my first DNF I've done. And in Betong, Thailand, I had my dad with me at that time and it was his first race that he'd come to. And for me itself, I was like, I don't want to DNF at this point. I've done it before, and when I was running around the hall of this checkpoint to see if my legs were okay, and they were fine. And I was like, I'm gonna go for it and see what happens. And I didn't feel like it. I wanted to prove to myself that I could get through it. I wanted to find that dark space in your head, or the pain cave, as everyone refers it to, and just power through. And in some way, I wanted to make myself proud to show that I was capable of doing it and pushing him through pain. But I was there to prove to my dad in some way that look at all the training that I've done and look what I'm capable of, regardless of what happened. And I wanted to make him proud. And of course, any, son or daughter wants to make their parents proud in whatever they do. And this is sort of in my situation with the running. I wanted to make him proud and show him that, I can get through some hard stuff. And Betong was definitely an example of that. And for me, that was definitely a race of where I really had to go to this hurts right now, but you can get through it. And I actually came from dead last to 12th place in 15 hours and something. And in that time, I actually rested for an hour and a half and walked for half an hour. So take away 2 hours from that, and it would have been 13 and a half, but maybe it would have been faster, but you never know.
Wow. Okay. I can't imagine that you rested 2 hours and then still managed to close, top 15. That's impressive. Yeah, but like, no, I think the point of, it's not always about the resume or scorecard, right? Like it's all
Exactly.
also about, like what you're there for, what's the moment, who you're there with, and what it means for everyone, right? Like it means more for the community, more for the people as well, not just scorecards every day. So
Yeah.
that does make sense, and I kind of resonated with that because I did have a similar race at TMB. I DNF'd, and I vouched to myself that I won't DNF again. Rather just finish it and finish it bad, but just do it, man. It's okay. It's not gonna be the end of the world if you just don't get a good sort of rank.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, people or the athletes that I know see me as an elite runner. And, you sometimes see elite runners in the UTMB world or the Golden Trail series or whatever else, and they are 5 kilometers in or whatever, and something happens, or they're halfway and something happens and they stop and they don't want to go anymore and they DNF. And I think everyone who's, unless it's severely like a severe issue, then obviously make the right call and do what you have to do. But I believe that to follow, I think it helps other athletes when they see an elite, or as they refer to me as an elite, I don't know yet, but when they see someone in my position who's just able to grind on and do it, it's a motivational thing. And I think that's also in my mind, like I want to motivate others. I'm doing this for myself, but I'm also I want to be sort of someone who can help and inspire and motivate others to push through boundaries for themselves, but also to show people that they're capable of doing more than they think. They're capable of actually going, my body can actually do this, and finish it. And I think in your case as well, when you said to yourself, I'm not going to DNF again, I think in some way, regardless of what the outcome is, if you're looking for points or whatever, that you can pull through because you've put yourself in that position.
No, absolutely, Kristjan. And I mean, let me know if that is correct. But are you a full-time athlete?
No.
Okay. Yeah. For some reason, like when you see elites, you're like, oh, it's a full-time athlete, and they are sort of still finishing it. But if you're not a full-time athlete, like what's the other thing you do generally, like other than your training? Like
Well, other than training a lot, which I want everyone to know that I train a lot. That's also what I do. I train twice a day, running, and maybe 3 times, including strength. So, it takes a lot of time. But other than that, I run my own coaching business, where I coach runners online or in person when here, like in Malaysia. Also do strength classes and things like that. And I'm currently almost about to release my website, so stay tuned for that. That's what I do in my meantime, and I've sort of slowly growing my business with that, and it's slow progress, but it's coming along. And I'm with my reputation here in Malaysia, a lot of people want to know more about this information, about how to become a better runner, or how to become a better ultra endurance runner, the nutrition side, the strength side of things. So I'm teamed up with a great guy also called Ping, who's the electrolyte founder for Strive, and we're eventually hopefully gonna create something out of this as well. So there's things looking up, and I think there's a few good things. Well, there are going to be many good things that are going to happen this year.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, and so because you're a coach yourself, like this is one of the questions I really wanted to ask, because you started your running in 2022, if I'm not wrong. And like, how do you went up almost 800 ITRA score? What's now like 793?
Yes, exactly.
right? Like, tell us about, like, okay, that's what, maybe like 3.5, 4 years, I think, of serious and actual racing. Like, how do you go up so fast? Like, what's the thing? Is this pure fitness? Is it strategic, this like thinking? Like, what do you think like is the main
It
factor?
it's so funny because I didn't even know about ITRA until last year when I won Cultra. I had
Oh,
no
perfect.
clue. I had literally no clue. I didn't know what it meant. I was like, wow. And then everyone was like, yo, you should see ITR scheme. I was like, what's that? I didn't even know what it was. I didn't even know I had points accumulating um, from my other races. And, you know, when Kailas, this brand here, would step forward and wanted to sponsor me because of how well I did in Culture and because of my points, I was like, yes, please. And I was impressed. But to be honest with you, I think it's just not having that pressure, just doing races where I enjoyed it. And really enjoy, and I still enjoy my training, don't get me wrong. And it's just that process of it's process. Running is a process. You know, the goals or the outcomes you get and achieve is just a bonus. It's everything that's a part of it that makes you to the runner that you want to be, right? So to get through that process and to actually be a part of that process of whatever you do to get where you want, that's the important part. And I think a lot of people don't see it. And I think a lot of people just go, oh, I didn't achieve it today. And they get upset about it. But it's like, well, if you look at your week last week and you look at the workout that you did, and then you look at it, if you did it before 2 months prior, is there a difference? Yes. Is there improvement? Yes. Well, there you go. There's the process. That's the process shining. So whether you didn't achieve your 10K or your ultra time within that specific race, you have shown progress regardless. And I think that's important. And I think runners need to consider that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's like one of the things I kind of learned from financing, compounding, right? Like, you got to just put in everyday kind of slow work to kind of
Yeah.
get the end result. Don't care about the result, care about the process more.
Yes.
Yeah, but like, I mean, it's quite a story that you never cared about it, try, and then you
No.
achieve 800. Okay, that is itself amazing. So runners out there who think that it try is the most important thing, forget it. That's the cheat code. That's the cheat code.
That's the message I'm giving you guys. No.
That's nice. Yeah. So, I mean, because obviously, like, I'm quite curious of your brands and sponsor, and obviously, you are kind of running at an elite level in Southeast Asia. It's a different market more than US. What do you think is like stopping you to become like a full-time athlete? Let's say for now, like, do you think it's enough? Like, let me be honest. Like, do you think is it uh, the the paychecks, the podiums, like, is it sufficient, do you think, as a full-time athlete? Like, what do you think? What are your thoughts on that?
I think becoming a full-time athlete it's difficult unless you have a team behind you, like a real supportive team. You know, you I think compared to, I mean, I don't know what it's like here in Malaysia, to be honest. Maybe in terms of the elites that are here, maybe they do have the system that they need to be a full-time athlete, like the and and in Europe, in US, it's, you know, completely different. You get these athletes that you see who are full-time and that's what they do all their for, you know, X amount of years. I don't know if I would want to be a full-time athlete, because you being a full-time athlete means you have to perform all the time, and it's not always easy to perform all the time. And you know, like what has happened this year for me for 3 races, I haven't been on the podium where I expected it to be, and and whether that would affect my full-time athlete title if I had that, then it would sort of be like maybe people would look at it differently. But I think, you know, it's important to have that balance, especially if it's something that you enjoy. I mean, for me, it's I love running, I love coaching, so it comes hand in hand. And eventually, hopefully, I can educate others on this in endurance and in nutrition, and that's the path that I want to sort of go down. But for this time being, if I become a full-time athlete at the age that I am, why not just grasp it and take it as it is, and do it now? Because then, if I'm later on in life and going, oh, I should have done it, well, then I can't change it. But now I have the opportunity. If it arises, I would definitely, I would take it.
No, that's interesting, and I super resonate with that point on like sometimes it's fine to make the sport as a playful game and not
Yeah,
like a professional sport, because it comes with more responsibility, right? Like you have so much of like podium pressure and like contract pressure and like performance pressure. Even if you don't have it on the contract, like it is there on the mind because you have so many people expectations, right? Like, but if you do it as a fun, I think nothing better. It's like it's a bonus on everything. So
yeah.
that's
And
absolutely right.
and you also have to remember that, and you know this most already, that running is a sport that doesn't have much money in it at the moment. You can't compare it to basketball or football or baseball because there's so much money involved. And in running, it's still niche. I mean, yes, it's getting there, but it's still a niche sport. And I know it's blowing up around the world with ultra runs and stuff, but they don't have. It's not like you're getting tons of money for it. So that also has some. It's also in the back of my mind.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it kind of helps us understand, like, even if you're sponsored, like, it's not something that is easy to kind of make a decision for full time, right? Like, you need a lot of more than that, like conviction, support, finance, all that thing. So, I mean, that's really helpful. Like, talk to us through in terms of the sponsorship for you. Like, how does it work? Like, do you get to test products? You get to like do some like play around with them and like be like, okay, I have like this test shoe I'm gonna wear at UTSG. Nobody knows about it from Kelas. Like, does that anything like that happens for you?
So not. I mean, I get things from Kailas that I wear. So the shirt and some shoes and apparel. From Garmin, I got a watch. But they're in the contract, of course, there comes with things that I have to do as well as an athlete to sort of promote what I'm doing and what I'm wearing is, you know, on social media and everything else. And sometimes as depending on your score, sometimes it helps you get into races, and sometimes that they go, okay, can you come to our race and represent yourself and whatever, and yeah, that happens. And that's pretty cool. I've been able to travel to China and travel to Thailand because of it. And that's such a cool experience in itself. And I love it because I love traveling as well. So it's a double bonus for me. But it's the having the ability to have things, from a company is so exciting for me because it's something that I've always wanted. I've always wanted to be sponsored by someone or something, and having Kailas now, almost a huge global company that is growing and growing and growing. It's super cool. I mean, Garmin in itself, I mean, when they said, hey, we're sponsored, I was like, whoa. And my head blew off. But like with rainbows and sparkles and stuff. But it's exciting.
No, that absolutely. I think one of the main thing is, I think it's kind of the way of an elite athlete to know that they're on the right trajectory, right? Like if you have these big brands coming in and like sneaking in your DMs and being like, "Hey, you want to join?"
Yeah.
um, I think it's a good pat on the back, right? Like it tells you where you want to go, and does that sort of shape your mindset? Meaning, like, one of the things I've noticed with like Kailas and like Garmin, they're very technical brands, right? Like they sponsor technical races. Do you feel like the kind of mindset you want to have in the next 2 years? You want to do more technical stuff, more sort of long ultra races, or kind of want to just figure out the space and as you go, like what's the goal with the plans as you go?
I think it's figuring out where I want to go with it. But at the moment, it's definitely focuses on 50 to 100 kilometer races. You know, you never know what's going to happen in the future, and I will stay with, you know, Garmin and Kailas until they let me go, until they want to let me go. I won't go. I will stay with them. And I think it's just the opportunities that arise. You know, you don't know what will happen. And that's for anyone in any country, sponsored by anyone, you know. And I'm not saying anything like that, because at the moment I want to be in Malaysia for the next X amount of years, 2 years at least, 3 years, if anything. And I would like to just sort of maintain, you know, I want to help also grow this community even more. So if I can be a part of that, you know, for the next 3 years, that would be great. So that's what I'm sort of looking at.
Okay, no, it does make sense. I mean, obviously, because I think the best thing about these brands is that they let you try these races, like even if it's super technical, like I don't know, MUT or Betong, like you get the sponsorship, but also the opportunity, right? Like to do all these races and go out there. So that's amazing. Like, talk to us through like what are some of the big races coming up for you in 2026, and like what are your plans about it?
Well, the biggest one this year is CCC, which is the, you know, one in France, UTMB, you know, big race. And this is something I'm really looking forward to. This is something that I had the opportunity to do because I won, obviously, UTMB last year, and you get that golden ticket to any race that you want in terms, well, you get the golden ticket based off what distance you've done. So 100K, so CCC is 100K. And that's the biggest race of this year so far, in summer, in July, August, end of August. And I'm really looking forward to that. So I'm hoping, and I know it will go well. And then I haven't really planned anything beyond that, but in December, I'm hoping to do 100 miles somewhere, just as a challenge in itself.
So it's going to be your first 100 mile, I suppose.
I've done one before in a backyard ultra in England, but I don't know. Would you consider that one?
Oh yeah, why not? Distance is distance, you know. It's like
Okay, so
doesn't
yes,
matter. Doesn't
I've
matter.
done one.
Yeah, okay, but talk to us through about backyard. 'Cause I know I'm pivoting, but it's super interesting because I never knew you would be interested in backyard. So like, what
Well,
happened? Why backyard? And like, would you do it again?
so this backyard was in England when I was living there. It was actually a year ago, 2 days ago. And the reason why I did it was because I wanted to do something with my brother. And I was like, well, we can't really race a race together because I will want to go out in front, and he's fit, but cardio wise, he wouldn't have been able to keep up. And so I was like, what is a good sort of in between? And I was like, a backyard. We both can run together because we both can walk slow, and it doesn't matter. You didn't have to run all the time. And so I was like, Alexander, my brother's name, I was like, we're going to do a backyard. And he's like, okay. And we both went in it going, we're just going to see what's happened, but we're doing it together. Well, we did it together, and he did 15 hours. So that's 100K. And when I started, I told my brother, I just want to get to 20 hours. He's like, okay, sure, we can do that. And it's sort of, the competition sort of blew up because this other guy called Rokanas, he was also there, and he kept on going, and I was like, well, I'm not going to stop until he stops. But I stopped before him because I wanted to reach 100 miles, 24 hours. And I was, yeah, would I do it again? No. Why? Because I don't like this timing thing. I prefer chasing someone from A to B rather than having to chase time in that regard.
No, absolutely. But I'm actually quite surprised you signed up backyard with sort of a whimsical sort of discussion with your brother in arms. Let's just go for backyard. How much we should do, don't know. What to do, don't know, but let's just do 100 miles and then come back. Okay, That's nice. Yeah, but like, do you reminding of like, because we're talking about races in 2026, um, tarmac, like anything on the road, not backyard, definitely, we know that, but marathons, half marathons, anything?
Well, I've started from road running, right? So I love doing hard sessions on the road and I love doing races like that. I haven't got anything in plan, no, but I actually should, just because intense training on the road is just as important as it is on trails. I have two goals that I do want to achieve. The first one is to do a marathon under 2:30 because my marathon current time is 2:37. And another one is to do 100K in 7 hours. That's like a big goal.
And wait, what's the national record now in Iceland? 400K, 6 hours something, 6:40.
45, something like this.
Doesn't it like kind of tempt you to break it? I mean, it's 20 minutes, but like 100K road race, 20 minutes is a lot. So, but does it kind of give you that motivation of like going for it?
I've never thought of it actually. I think at the moment, no, because it's such a, like, from my current record to shaving an hour off, it's quite a lot. So I don't think I don't have that drive yet. But maybe if I broke 7 hours and I was closer to it, then I might have that drive to be like, okay, I want to try. But at the moment, it's more of a personal goal to try and see how fast I could do it in. And that would be awesome.
All right. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, because obviously, like the road training is so different than technical
Yes.
stuff. And I think with Triple C coming up, you're gonna put a lot of hills in the leg,
Yeah.
which is way different than like both. But I mean, hopefully you get a good timing at Triple C. Like talking about Triple C, like I know you've talked to me off the record about like what's your goal, like anything you want to share, like what's your sort of goal at Triple C, or like anything you want to
I don't, I mean, I think a goal for myself is one, obviously to finish. That's like everyone's goal. But a sort of big goal of mine is to do it under 12 hours. And if I could do that under 12 or even under 11, I would be very happy. Or like in between 11 and 12, sorry, I would be extremely happy with that. That would be awesome, seriously. And I'm training for that, and I will do my best to try and do that. We just have to wait and see. I just have to put in the hours, and it's 10 weeks away now, or 14 weeks or something, which is a bit scary, but it's going to work out. And all the training that I have done in the past year it will come together. So I'm looking forward to it.
No, that's amazing. I don't know if we would have the moment of you sticking with the big guns out there, but like some of the big names who are going for Triple C. But like, would love to see if there are any tense moment again, like MUT.
That would be fun.
What are your thoughts of like some of the big races in Asia, like Asia Trail Master, or anything on the roster? Like, are you like, is there any thought for like 2027, or like just generally like you want to make something big? Because now you're in Asia, you have a lot of sort of respect and sort of people who look up in Asia for races. Like, what's your goal in Asia? Like, what's the next thing?
I've been looking at ATM. I've definitely got my eye on it. I've been like, this would be interesting for next year. And I'll see what happens. Like the thing is that I have to sort of see what happens in CCC. If something great and exhilarating happens, I mean that would sort of point in a direction. But maybe, I don't know. But at the same time, ATM is definitely something that I want to participate in, and there are races obviously in Malaysia that have them. I also want to do more of the majors, so like Hong Kong major or something like that. And next year, maybe if I can be part of the Icelandic trail team, if I'm good enough to be a part of that, that would be so cool, and that to represent Iceland in that way. I That would be wicked. And I think if I had that opportunity, I would take that.
That's awesome. And like, let's say if you get the opportunity, would you be the long distance trail or short?
Yeah.
Like, what's your long? Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think going by the races I've seen, I think long is something that kind of suits you.
Yeah.
It's like only like maybe UTSG was the one race where I was like, I think we had a hard time, but I think MUT and Cultra was like something that kind of sort of was the pinnacle moment. Yeah, I mean, I think the sort of pivoting to like your sort of personal career. Tell us more about like how many athletes you coach, what do you do, and like what's your goal for this year, like so that audience knows, and if they want to kind of reach out and like sort of discuss anything.
So it was a question about my coaching.
Yes.
Right. In terms of athletes, anyone is welcome. I don't mind coaching anyone at the moment, because like I said a little bit earlier, I just want to help as much as I can, and I'm always happy to answer any questions and always happy to talk to people about running. And if they want assistance, then I'm more than I'm more than happy to sort of go, here's my time. Because like I said, I just want to be able to give the knowledge that I have to others to help them improve. So goals this year is obviously to get my website going, which is happening soon. Thanks to my friend Eric, who's helping me out, but also just hopefully upgrading that and creating a blog and forming that into something where people can come and read what I'm doing, looking into research and stuff like that. And hopefully things can sort of emerge from that. And that's the goals that I'm sort of looking at this year, in terms of what I want with coaching and everything, and hopefully get also a few other additional educational things with nutrition and strength and conditioning and stuff like that. So that's sort of the focus at the moment.
That's nice. I mean, like one of the things you mentioned was that the writing part. I think I would be super curious if you have Substack. Do you have Substack? Do you write Substack? Okay. Yeah. No. But yeah, if you have a website, like feel free to share with us, and like
Yes.
I think that would be a nice sort of overview, especially maybe before Triple C.
Yeah.
Like a race recap. I love finding those really interesting. Super shout out to Francesco Pupi from France, and then Ben Demon. These guys, their Substack is like just amazing. Kind of gives you an overview. So yeah, would love to read, and would love to see more of that culture in like Asia broadly.
Sure.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah, I think that's it. Anything you want to drop or anything missed?
I was just some advice for, not advice, but just sort of a few words for everyone who is getting into trail running. Always there when you're in a race or when you're training, the idea behind it is to finish, and obviously that's what everyone's goal is. But I think the importance is to remember is to enjoy what you're doing at the same time. Put one foot in front of the other and look around. Don't always look at your feet. Look up actually what's happening around you, because sometimes it's a little bit more interesting to what's in terms of what's actually happening. Explore and go out into challenging things and do what you enjoy and do what you love. And hopefully, if you ever see me in the trails, you're always welcome to say hello. And I always will respond, unless I'm training hard, then maybe not. But other than that, you always get my attention.
Thanks, Kristjan. That was nice. All right, I'm gonna sign off.
Yes.